Yep, a ripple on the USD on a 15-minuter. So here's where we are, and we are just mute my WhatsApp group links that are coming in. We are getting a nice capitulation. For some, there might have been a frightening rally. I'd suggested there would be a rally post the second interim, and that would provide opportunity for late entry shorts. Quite impulsive initially, but very quickly it was all given back. Then we've been very low vol, hanging on the second interim, and here comes the spill. So we've already now made the primary pattern. See the increase in volume starting to build a bit of a Manhattan there. We've already made the primary patterns target, and we now have the booster patterns target here, which I anticipate will probably be run on balance of probabilities, he says, somewhat ruefully, given how not very far it has to go. We've got to remember from whence all of this came when we made. So in our premium group, you wouldn't have had this until a lot later. In fact, I don't even think I YouTubed Ripple until around about here. We were short up top here, getting short in the funnel, and we took early entries, and that was shared. A number of members of the community were in that one and enjoying that ride. And again, over here with the second interim rally, and it now looks like our targets that I mentioned in YouTube is now ready to go. We did also warn that there would be an overall sell-off in crypto further. You can see the spill there, grind lines. You'll learn all about these. Often a spill out the bottom on what's a falling wedge before you get a bit of a breakout move to the top. So actually, in fact, post this sell-off, actually letting go of some steam here. Still a bit of a Manhattan that can build there, but we've already had a high volume one there. We could actually get a bit of a relief bump for BTC, but as we suggested, there would be further contraction, and that's occurring. But what may come next, if we get a meltdown capitulation, which we've already started to get, and that could be not much more, because we don't have to go very far for Ripple. In other words, what I'm saying is all these macros are illustrating an overall weakness in crypto as a whole. This was particularly bad for Ethereum on the last spill down, so actually it's been more moderated here, but rounded top, and you can see rolling over, so not good for bottoming structure that, but it had such a powerful sell-off, we might not have as an aggressive sell-off now. So that's the top three. BCH also got structure for further downside and a target to make down there. So Bitcoin Cash been weak too. So there's your break, there's your holding the line, and there's your beginning to roll over back down. So again, slightly higher volume than standard, but not yet the scale of this, but a little bit more downside is suggested. So with our Ripple short call, close to job done, but it's getting a bit volatile and choppy. But I would still expect the 5-4, 1-3s, 1-4s, 1-6s to be run in all of that before there might be a little bit of a rebound for crypto land. But once again, on your bigger time frame, this is not a strong market. So it will depend on how big the falling wedge. You often get a little melt up dip out the bottom first before you get the pop up, and you have to look at this bigger time frame and the scenario B, as I've called it, which has been ominous that you could already, and that's difficult for most of you to see. I should actually get a Coinbase one up, because I've got so many key levels, it's tough for you to make anything out of that. If I pop another little get Coinbase one up, I've got just a smaller amount of analysis on the bigger time frame, so you don't get so crowded out with all my lovely joyful lines. But if we have a look at that on the bigger time frame, in fact, nothing saved. This is not good. This is generally not good. If that wasn't an H3, L3 right there, and this is just a down leg, this is going to be a real flat bottom that's running here. A lot of people say, well, that's going to be a support line. No, it's not. There's no rule why it's going to be a support line. Support lines are typically horizontal, not gradient lines. And you say, well, it's a trend line that's going to be supported because big time round. No, it's not. Angled lines don't have specific relevance. Price points do. People remember and understand price. The average Joe who's responding and reacting in fear and is not thinking about the different price levels this line represents, since low down here at 4,000 and up here at 7,300. This is not good development, because as I've already said, you can have further downside continuation. for Bitcoin out of this, and this capitulation has been rather abrupt. It's actually been a harder sell-off than the upside was a pump. Apart from that initial starting candle, we went very much into a grinding time, and we thought, okay, we're not going to take you too serious because you're grinding along. Then set up an HVF that might have made 10,200, and it balked at the 10,000 line and turned here, and that was a key turning point. Time stop still got you out with profits, and then that means it doesn't have the puff to make it, and we've been pretty consistent asserting bearishness most of the time and saying, look, you might get weak rallies here and there, but generally you want to be short the market. That's the take on Ripple, though, by the way. So let's see if it makes the boosted target that we're waiting for down here. And you may get, once again, now once a host of these, BCH also a little bit further to go to make, once a host of these have made it home, you might get to the beginning of the end for this stage of selling, which may lead to a basing out here and eventually a soft rally, which could give you an idealistic inverted setup, which would once again go quiet again before selling off again. And this continual nature of the bearness is killing those that just keep calling bull and not trying to catch falling knives. It's like a rookie error. People are preemptive because they want the good days back, so they're trading what they believe they wish would happen, not what's actually being printed. This is a blow off end of trend, absolute mega blow off and then sell off. And people could have argued, I remember thinking when the futures came, they're going to have to stockpile on Bitcoin to actually have stock of it that they can then leverage up on, and that could have been part of it happening there with the run up to the futures. And since then, they can do what they want. They can build derivatives on these. Who knows? I don't want to get conspiratorial, but it was very interesting how the run up to the listing of the futures worked. Anyway, that's where you're at, and it's not strong for the crypto markets. And as I've said before, it leaves open. That doesn't mean I'm saying it has to happen. The pattern can fail, but it leaves open the potential for a 2,600 target odd. And we're working on a guesstimated projection point to the downside. So, for example, if I just did something like that, just a working draft, you could even dip below 2,000 into the ones, the upper ones. So you're talking somewhere around in the twos or in the upper ones. That you could return to. That would be very sobering for a lot of people, and that's perfect because it bleeds out all the hands that are of any way not committed long run to this. We'll be left with the technical guys that are doing development work and the really, really committed, astute holders of crypto that believe that it is something coming for the long term and that they've sat out at all, they'll sit it all out. And at that point, as I said, if you've got out anywhere over here, anywhere, and there were plenty of opportunities, even if you got out down here in the 10s and the 11s, because we were late to recognize the blow off ourselves. This is far from perfectly traded, but we made up for lost time with really profitable shorting in these down legs. You would be able to get so much more Bitcoin at these levels. Imagine getting out at 9, 10, 11,000. I've been in fiat all this way, and just using leverage accounts to short, you could be buying, you could have 5-6 times your Bitcoin. And it's not gone. It's not gone forever, BTC, but it could just go long enough to kill the rookie money, and that's what I fear has happened. Anyway, clips dragged on a bit. We'll see technically if this one finishes the job. That's the main reason behind the clip. But hopefully some of you will take some solace in the fact that there might be rallies after the short term, but we'll also bear in mind that there's always another twist of the knife in a bear market, and sometimes it can be so brutal it can defy people's belief systems, and then when they absolutely capitulate, it's often the worst time. It might be a time when no one sees any hope or future and all the headlines are absolutely awful and it's at the lowest price. It's kind of like equities at March 2009, and that's when you can get back in with comfort. There's not a single bull left in the room, and everybody is bleeded out. Okay, talk to you all soon. Bye. Oh, by the way, one other thing, webinar Wednesday the 30th about defense, believe it or not, the webinar for the time, and shorting, with an offer for those that are serious. It's not for everybody. You've got to want to learn, and you've got to be prepared to invest, and you've got to see the real fiscal financial value of how this positioning and these very things that we're talking about could have saved you a small fortune. Speak to you later. Bye.